The alien ship floated quietly in deep space. No lights, no voices, only cold metal and empty rooms. The ship was very big, made for war. But now it was broken and alone. Inside one of the big chambers, a creature lay on the floor. It was a dragon. Not like Earth dragons, but something much older and more beautiful. Its body was long, its wings folded close. Blue scales covered its skin, but they had lost their shine. Its yellow eyes were half closed. The dragon looked weak. It had not moved for many weeks. It had not eaten anything. It did not care if it lived or died. The dragon had been taken during a great war. Its people fought hard, but they lost. The enemy was cruel and powerful. They killed almost all dragons, but this one they kept. They wanted to study it, maybe. Use it as a weapon. They put it in this ship and sent it to a science base far away. But the enemy's empire was falling. Before the ship reached its destination, the empire collapsed. No one came to help. The ship became lost in space. Systems stopped working. The food machines still dropped alien meat every day, but the dragon never touched it. It just lay there. Eyes closed, heart broken. Time passed. Months went by. The ship floated near human space. A mining station caught its signal. The humans sent a small team to check. They thought they would find old tech and maybe some alien treasure. What they found was something else. The humans entered the ship in spacesuits. Most of the ship was dark and cold. Machines were dead. Doors were stuck. But in the center chamber, they saw it. The dragon. Everyone stopped. No one moved. They had never seen something like this before. The creature was huge, but it looked sad. Its wings didn't rise. Its chest moved very slowly. It was alive, but just barely. "Is it dangerous?" one man asked. "It's not moving," said another. "Should we wake it?" "No," said a voice behind them. It was Joe, the human foreman. Joe was an older man. Strong hands, gray beard. He had worked in space for many years. He had seen strange things. But this was different. He looked at the dragon for a long time. "It's not dangerous," Joe said quietly. "It's just tired." The team didn't understand. They wanted to scan the dragon, take samples. But Joe stopped them. "Leave it alone," he said. "Me try something." Joe came back the next day. He didn't bring a scanner. He brought a chair, a flashlight, and a hot drink. Hot life. He sat down outside the glass wall of the dragon's chamber and just watched. The dragon did not move. Joe came again. The next day, and the next. Every day he sat there for 1 hour. Sometimes he hummed songs. Sometimes he talked about Earth, about the sky, the trees, the rain. The dragon never replied. But its eyes sometimes opened a little. On the 10th day, Joe brought food. Not alien food, real food. Cooked meat. Simple. Warm. He left it inside the room and sat back. The dragon smelled it but didn't move. Joe smiled. "It's okay," he said. "I'll wait." Then he returned the next day, the next. The dragon still didn't eat. Something had changed. Its eyes opened fully now. It watched Joe. It listened deep inside its heart. Something small woke up. Not hunger, not hope, just ... curiosity. The dragon still didn't eat. But it watched the human every day. Joe kept coming. He never missed a day. He always brought something, a small book, a song on his old music player, or food cooked by hand. And he always talked, even when the dragon said nothing. Back on Earth, Joe said one day. "I used to work in a steel factory. Hot place, loud, but it paid well. We used to have a dog there. Ugly thing, always sleeping. But when it wagged its tail, you knew it liked you." The dragon blinked slowly. Joe laughed. "You're not a dog. I know that. You're something older, wiser, but still, I think you miss home same as anyone." The dragon didn't respond. But it didn't turn away either. One day, the human crew brought in a team of scientists. They wore clean white suits and talked in cold voices. "This creature is extremely rare," said one. "We should take it to Earth, study its biology." Depressed, said another. Probably dying. Let's freeze it before it's too late. Joe stood between them and the dragon's chamber. No, he said. Not yet. The scientist didn't like it. But the captain trusted Joe. He had worked with aliens before. He had handled dangerous things with calm hands. So they waited. Joe kept coming back to the dragon. They want to take you apart, he said quietly. I don't let them. That day, for the first time, the dragon moved its head just a little. It looked right at Joe. Its golden eyes were tired, but not empty. Joe's heart jumped. He stood up slowly and walked to the food he had placed inside the chamber. Didn't cross the line. He just pointed. You don't have to eat all of it, he said. Just a little. Show them you're still alive. The dragon stared at the food. Then at Joe. Then, with a low, rough breath, it dragged one claw across the floor and pulled the food close. It ate. One bite. Joe smiled wide. That's it, he whispered. Good job, big guy. The news spread fast. The dragon ate, said the crew. It's awake. The scientists came again. This time they watched from far. They took notes. Some were angry. Some were amazed. But Joe didn't care about them. He only cared about the dragon. He brought drawings the next day. This is Earth, he said, showing the dragon a picture of blue oceans and green lands. And this is a bird. It flies, kind of like you. The dragon stared at the bird picture for a long time. Then, slowly, it moved one wing. It didn't fly. It couldn't. But it stretched the wing a little, like it remembered what it was like to fly. Joe felt something warm in his chest. The next day, the dragon waited for him. It was sitting up now. Its head was higher. Its eyes were brighter. Joe placed a new meal down and stepped back. The dragon ate more this time. Not fast, but calm. Afterward, it looked at Joe, then pressed its claw against the glass wall between them. Joe slowly lifted his hand and placed it on the glass too. Two creatures from different worlds, from different species, one human, one dragon sat quietly, their hands touching the same wall. No words, no science, just connection. The dragon was stronger now. It no longer lay on the floor all day. It sat upright, wings folded, eyes alert. It watched the humans come and go. It only trusted one Joe every day. Joe arrived with stories, drawings, or simple food. He talked about Earth, about sunsets, rivers, children playing in parks. The dragon didn't speak, but it listened. Its golden eyes followed every word. One morning, Joe entered the chamber room and saw something strange. The dragon had scratched. Marks into the floor, curved lines, stars, circles. They looked like a sky map. Joe knelt beside the glass. Is this your home? He asked softly. The dragon moved its claw slowly across the floor, stopping on a large circle with three smaller ones beside it. Then it looked at Joe. Joe nodded. You miss it, don't you? The dragon gave a low sound. Not a roar, not a growl. It was deep, soft, almost like a sigh. That night, Joe went to the ship's small library. He searched star charts and old alien maps. He compared them to the dragon's drawings. It took hours, but finally he found something. A planet system far away, abandoned now, destroyed in the war. The dragon's homeworld. The next day, Joe showed a printout to the dragon. This place? Is this where you came from? The dragon pressed its claw against the spot on the paper. Joe sat down slowly. I'm sorry, your people, your world. It's gone, isn't it? The dragon didn't move, but a small tear rolled down from its glowing eye. It hit the floor with a soft splash. Joe didn't say anything. He just sat with it, quiet, still like a friend. Later that week, something changed. The dragon stood fully for the first time. Its wings stretched wide, touching the walls of the chamber. Its tail moved side to side. It looked powerful again, even with pain in its heart. The crew watched from the windows. Is it getting dangerous? Someone asked. No, Joe said. It's remembering who it is. After that day, the dragon began to paint the walls with its claws. It drew skies, stars, and flying shapes. Dragons, families, memories. Joe brought paints and brushes. "Try these," he said. The dragon took one carefully and dipped it in color. It painted a big sun with long beams across the wall. It looked warm, alive. But trouble was coming. The company that owned the mining crew sent a message. "Bring the dragon back to Earth. It must be studied. It belongs to science." Joe was angry. "It doesn't belong to anyone," he said. But orders were orders. The captain told Joe, "We'll take it to Earth. You can come too. Maybe help keep it calm." Joe looked at the dragon, now sleeping beside a wall filled with memories. He made a choice. That night, Joe returned to the chamber and sat down. "Hey," he whispered. "They want to take you away, put you in a cage, in a lab." The dragon opened its eyes slowly. Joe placed his hand on the glass. "Do you want to go, or do you want to be free?" The dragon stood tall. It walked to the back of the chamber and scratched something into the wall, a small, clear symbol. Joe stared at it. It was a simple thing, a hand and a claw touching, a symbol of trust. Joe smiled sadly. "Okay," he said. "Then we run." Joe didn't sleep that night. He sat near the control room, staring at the ship's map. His mind was racing. If they waited, the company's ship would arrive in 2 days. The dragon would be taken, locked in a lab, tested like a machine. He couldn't let that happen. He looked at the dragon's chamber on the screen. The creature was awake, sitting still, calm, but waiting. Joe walked down the silent hallway. He reached the chamber and opened the speaker. "Hey," he said quietly. "It's time." It understood. Joe entered a security code. The glass wall opened slowly with a soft hiss. For the first time, the dragon was free to move outside its room. The moment was quiet. The dragon stepped out, careful and slow. Its claws clicked on the metal floor. Its wings brushed the ceiling. It was huge, but it moved with grace. Joe looked up at it. "Follow me." They moved fast through the ship. Most of the crew was asleep. Only a few security bots were active, but Joe knew the blind spots. He had worked on ships for years. It knew where to hide, when to move, and how to break small rules. But this was no small rule. They reached the hangar bay. Joe had already prepared a small cargo shuttle. It wasn't built for something as big as a dragon, but it had enough room for now. The dragon looked at the shuttle, then at Joe. Joe smiled. "We're not going far. Just to the surface of a small moon nearby. There's a safe spot there. Hidden. You can fly. You can rest. No one will find you for a while." The dragon stepped inside. Joe powered the shuttle as the engines hummed quietly. He sent a false signal to the main ship. Routine cargo check. No alert. The shuttle lifted and flew out into space. The stars were bright. The black sky was wide and open. The dragon looked through the window. For the first time in many months, it saw freedom. Real freedom. It made a low, soft sound. Not a cry, not a roar. Something peaceful. Joe smiled. "Yeah, I feel it too." They landed on the surface of the moon an hour later. The place was quiet, full of rocks and wind. No cameras. No bases. Just open space. The dragon stepped out and stretched its wings wide. It faced the wind, flapped once, twice, then jumped into the air. Joe watched, heart full. The dragon flew, not high, not fast, but it flew wings wide, body strong, eyes glowing. Joe laughed out loud. "You're really flying, big guy." The dragon flew in a slow circle, then landed in front of him. Joe walked closer. "You're safe here, for now." Duh. But their time was short. Back on the main ship, alarms had started. A missing shuttle. Unauthorized launch. People were waking. Up, the captain shouted orders. "Find Foreman, Joe! Track the shuttle!" But it was too late. Joe and the dragon were gone. Hours later, as the sun rose over the rocky moon, Joe sat near a cliff. The dragon rested nearby, eyes closed but alert. Joe looked up at the sky. He knew someone would come. Maybe in a few days. Maybe sooner. but he didn't regret it. "You saved me," he said quietly to the dragon. "Now I saved you. That makes us even." The dragon opened one eye. It looked at him, then nodded. Two different creatures. One moment of peace, but far in the sky, a small red light blinked. A ship was coming. The red light in the sky grew larger. Joe stood up and stared at it. His face was calm, but his heart beat fast. He knew what it meant. A ship was coming, and the company had found them. The dragon stood too. Its wings opened halfway, ready. Its eyes watched the sky, sharp and serious. Joe looked at the dragon. "We can't run anymore. They're fast, and they know where we are." The dragon growled softly, not in anger, in warning. It could feel danger coming. Joe opened his backpack. Inside was a small comms device. He connected it to an old scanner and checked the signal. One ship, medium size. Probably not a warship, but armed. The dragon moved closer. It looked at the scanner, then at Joe. "We have two choices," Joe said. "Hide in the caves, or face them here." The dragon stepped forward and lifted its head high. Its answer was clear. Face them. The wind blew across the moon's rocky surface. Dust swirled in the air. The dragon climbed to the top of a large cliff and spread its wings fully. The early sunlight made its scales glow like fire and ice. Joe stayed below, setting up a few signal jammers. These might block their trackers. For a while he muttered, then the ship arrived. It hovered above the ground, dust blowing in all directions. Lights flashed, the engines hummed loud. A loud voice came through the speakers. "Step away from the creature. This is company property. Return with us peacefully. Foreman Joe." Joe laughed quietly. "Company property, huh? That dragon is? No one's property." The dragon roared, loud and deep. The sound shook the rocks. Birds flew from nearby cliffs. Even the ship backed off a little. Joe looked up at the dragon. "Let's show them." A ramp opened from the ship, four-armed. Soldiers stepped out in white armor, aimed their stun rifles. Joe didn't move. "You're making a mistake," shouted. One soldier raised his voice. "The dragon is dangerous. It can't be trusted." But just then, something unexpected happened. The dragon bent its head low and slowly stepped in front of Joe, blocking him from the soldiers. It didn't growl. It didn't roar. It just stood tall, silent, and protective. One soldier paused. "Wait, it's guarding him?" Another said, "It's not attacking. It's defending." Joe stepped out from behind the dragon. "This creature is not a weapon. It's not a monster. It's hurt. It's healing. Let it go." The leader of the soldiers hesitated. He looked at the dragon, then at Joe. "Our orders are clear." Joe shook his head. "So is the truth. Look at it. If it wanted to, it could have burned us all. But it didn't. It just wants peace." The dragon's eyes glowed gently. It looked at each soldier without hate, only calm. There was silence. Then, one soldier lowered his weapon, then another. The leader cursed under his breath. "Fine, but this isn't over." They returned to the ship. The ramp closed. The engines fired. Slowly the ship rose and flew away. Joe let out a deep breath. "We did it," he whispered. The dragon turned and looked at him, bent its head low, gently pressing its forehead to Joe's chest. Joe smiled and placed a hand on its snout. "You're free now." But deep in space, other signals were moving. Other ships, other eyes, and not all of them were friendly. The sky was quiet again. The ship had left. Soldiers were gone. Joe and the dragon stood on the rocky moon side by side. For the first time in a long time, they both felt safe. But peace never lasts forever. That night, as Joe sat near the fire, the dragon looked up at the stars. Its eyes followed something in the sky, a shadow. Far, but moving fast, Joe noticed. "You see something?" The dragon gave a low growl and nodded. Joe picked up the scanner. The screen blinked. It's unmarked signal. It's not from the company. Frowned. "Someone else is coming." The dragon's eyes narrowed. It felt something strange, old, familiar, Joe turned on the long-range scanner. "It's a warship," he whispered, "but not human. This is alien." The dragon suddenly stood up and roared. Its wings opened wide. Its body was tense, like it was ready for battle. Joe had never seen it react like that before. "What is it?" he asked. "You know this ship?" The dragon scratched fast symbols into the sand. Joe looked at them. Simple shapes. A circle with teeth. A burning star. A falling wing. Joe's face went cold. "They were the ones who destroyed your home, weren't they?" The dragon nodded. It remembered everything. The fire, the screams, the sky falling, the last flight. And now they were coming again. Joe stood and grabbed his gear. "We can't stay here. We have to move." He and the dragon went deeper into the caves below the moon's surface. The air was cold. The walls were rough. But it was a good place to hide. Joe set up a small camp and powered a force shield at the entrance. It wouldn't stop a warship, but it might slow them down. Hours passed. Then the ground shook. The warship arrived. Black, huge, full of red lights. And sharp edges, it floated above the surface like a silent monster. A deep sound came from it, not a voice, but a message. "The lost weapon has been found. Return it or be destroyed." "They think you're just a weapon," he whispered. "They don't know who you really are." The dragon growled deeply. It walked to the mouth of the cave and stared up at the ship. Joe followed. "We can't fight them. Not alone, but maybe." He pulled out an old radio. "I know a guy, a smuggler. He owes me a favor." He sent a coded message. "Need evac. Dangerous enemy. Bring help if you can." Minutes felt like hours. Outside, small machines dropped from the warship, flying drones. They searched the area, scanning rocks and caves. Joe turned to the dragon. "If they find us, they'll use every weapon they have." The dragon looked at the wall. It scratched one more symbol, a fire with wings, rising. Joe stared at it. "You want to fight?" The dragon nodded. Joe smiled, though his eyes were tired. "Then let's make it count." They waited at the edge of the cave. The first drone came close. The dragon moved fast. One claw swipe, and the machine shattered in pieces. More drones came. The dragon fought with fire and claws. Joe used a blaster, covering its side, but they were only two. And more enemies kept coming. Then, in the sky, another light appeared. A small ship. Fast, sleek. Joe's radio buzzed. "Hey, old man, you still alive down there?" Joe laughed. "Barely." The smuggler's ship fired at the warship, drawing its attention. "Get ready," the voice said. "I'm opening a hatch. You and your big friend better jump." Joe looked at the dragon. "Time to go." The dragon nodded. They ran together. Toward one last chance at escape. Dust and fire filled the air. The smuggler's ship flew low, its back hatch open. Inside, flashing lights and loud engines waited. Joe and the dragon ran fast across the rocky ground, dodging falling debris and broken drones. Joe's heart pounded. "Almost there," he shouted. The dragon ran beside him, wings spread, tail swinging to knock away enemy machines. Its body moved with strength and speed. No longer weak, no longer broken. Behind them, the alien warship opened a large weapon port. A red beam charged up, bright and deadly. Joe turned his head. "They're going to fire." The smuggler's voice came through the radio. 30 seconds, Joe. Hold on." The dragon stopped. Joe looked back. "No, keep running." But the dragon turned toward the warship. It stared at the red beam, eyes glowing brighter than ever. It remembered the destruction, the pain, the end of its people. Now the same enemy stood above them again, ready to kill. The dragon growled low. Joe grabbed its claw. "Don't do this," he begged. "Don't leave me." The dragon looked at him, and for the first time it spoke, not with words, but with a soft voice in Joe's mind. "You gave me hope. You gave me life. Now I give you time." Joe's eyes filled with tears. No, we leave together. But the dragon gently pushed him toward the ship. Then it rose. Wings spread wide, body full of fire. The dragon flew high into the sky, straight. Toward the warship, the enemy beam fired. Red lights sliced across the sky, but the dragon moved faster. It roared louder than ever, a sound that shook the moon, sound of anger, pain, and power. The dragon's body burned bright blue. Fire surrounded it. Its wings glowed like stars. And then, it crashed into the warship's weapon port. Boom! A huge explosion lit the sky. Fire and smoke covered everything. Joe fell to the ground, shielding. His face, the smuggler's ship, rocked hard from the shockwave. When the light faded, the warship was broken. Half of it fell from the sky. The other half drifted, dark and dead. Joe stood up slowly. His eyes searched the sky. Nothing, only silence, only smoke. "Dragon," he whispered. No answer. The smuggler shouted from the ship, "Joe, you have to go."
Oh.
Joe looked up one last time, then climbed into the ship. As the door closed behind him, he whispered, "Thank you." The ship rose, engines humming. Joe sat near a window and stared out into the stars. His hand touched the glass, remembering the first time he touched the dragon's claw through a wall. The smuggler sat beside him. "That thing saved our lives," he said. Joe nodded. It wasn't a thing, it was a hero. Days passed. The warship's signal vanished from space. No one came looking. Joe returned too. Earth, quiet, changed. He didn't go back to work. He didn't speak to reporters. He just bought a small house in the hills. Far from the cities, he built a garden with stones and wind chimes. And in the center, he placed a sculpture, a dragon, wings open, eyes strong. He told children stories of a great creature from the stars, not a monster, not a weapon, a friend, a protector, a soul. And every night, he looked up at the stars, sometimes just for a second. He thought he saw something move in the sky, a shadow with wings, flying free. And he smiled, because he knew, maybe, just maybe, the dragon was still out there.